And that has been a Tutachana by Bayana Bahati or Diana. I wanted to say Bahati Bayana. Hey. By Diana Bahati, praying right here on Just While. My name is Devi Kamau, and it's Thursday, so it's about that time we throw it back to a story that I actually saw from an article dated 28th of December 1999. That's right, 1999. I was not even born when that article was written. So it was a report on, a germ virus that had been developed by a government, to depopulate the world and, try to control it. Here is the story. So we throw it back to 1945. So 1945, a government decides, we need to develop a germ to control the population. So fast forward to 1962, the depopulation program begins. And they say, let's do this thing. So the depopulation begins, 1962. So 1974, the committee said, the world is now growing at an alarming rate. Like, sasa lazima to reduce. Now we have to do it. So they decide we are going to take actions and, to control the population up to 6 billion persons by mid-21st century. Like, lazima to control the population. By the time tunafika mid-21st century. Mid-21st century kwanza ni lini? Because we are in the 21st century, between 2000. So mid-21st century was when? Mid-21st century is 2050. 2050, they were targeting to control the population up to 6 billion persons by the time it was 2050. In 1999, the populations were at 6 billion persons when this article was written. But they wanted to control the population to 6 billion by the time it was 2050, which is almost 28 years from now. Right? So, they were supposed to take actions, without massive starvation. Like, hawataki kuweka watu na njaa kidogo. You don't want to put, starvation on people. We have to control this population. Kama watu wajanja, of course, the people, they say they are. So, on wajanja, na bila frustrate, like, totally the developmental progress of a country. Bila kufanya hivyo, wacha to control. You see? And they have population, and to have population of, at most 8 billions, rather than permitting it to reach 10 to 13 billions plus persons by that time, by mid-21st century, which is 2050. Currently, we are at what? Because 1999, we were at, tulikuwa watu 6 billions plus, by the time ilikuwa 99. So today, I think we are at what? I think there's a time I had we were 7 billion. I don't know. So they wanted us actually to be 6 billion by the time it was 2050, which is that's very serious because meaning they are depopulating the world at a very high rate. Mnapata wanaisha. So after the development of the virus, it was deployed in 1974 in the sub-Saharan Africa. And it was deployed as injections, wase walikuwa napelekewa zikiwa kama injections during the immunization program of the, the polio and the smallpox. Those vaccinations are going on. And in the process, they also inject the virus to people. And, the unsuspecting Africans who, didn't know who these people were and what their intentions were, innocently wakapegwa kitu and they ended up being injected the virus. So after being injected the virus, so also after the 1974 committee, it said that an urgent measures has to be taken to reduce the fertility and be started and effective between the 1970s and the 1980s. Like, iyo lazima it happen. Like, we have to control the fertility rate because these people kaboom every day, kaboom every day, kaboom every day. So it had to be controlled. So the committee came with a resolution. We have to reduce family saving and domestic investments. Like, it's very difficult, to have domestic investments. They had to make that difficult. And of course, family savings, it was supposed to be difficult. And of course, they increased the need for large amounts of foreign exchange food imports. That was made very, very difficult. They also did one thing which is actually up to date. I feel like it really, really, really affects us to date. They intensified the unemployment and underemployment rates. They like hakuna jobs. They intensify, they try to ensure that, there are no jobs. The moment there are no jobs, hakuna mtu ana risk, like you want to start now you are getting children, they do what? So they intensified, the unemployment and underemployment for the population. Like, hey, jobs Z. Hakuna kitu kama, hey, jobs Z. Jobs, I Z. So the moment there are no jobs, you end up not wanting to, give birth. For me, like, personally, I wouldn't want to have, like, I don't know, a kid right now. Why? I don't have a job. Sijui nini. Ana una job. Hauna pesa. Hauna hata savings. Hauna investments. So how on earth are you still going to get kids? So in that way, they depopulate. They are reducing. You are growing old, but you're not getting kids. So you end up, by the time you're like, 40, 50, you have like 2 kids. Instead of back then when somebody, like, there was a time there was someone, I don't know what his name was, I can't remember the name, but he had so many children. So many children. He didn't even know some of them. He was like, who is your mother? Who is your mother? Who are you? What's your name? Those are so many children. So if everybody gets a chance, because the economy is good in that country, the people will get so many children. And they knew these countries, they depend so much on minerals and so forth. So they frustrate the market for these minerals. These minerals, there is no way they are going to give you money. So they frustrate you to their utmost ability. You know what? You guys are not going to make it. So, zitulieni. So what you'll do, you won't get kids, because where are you going to take these kids? They also made education very expensive. Health, very expensive. So you don't want to get kids that is juu na watoto sijui wamepangana kutoka class 1 all the way to university. Education is very expensive, so you can't afford to have so many children, because you won't be able to, take them to school, because education had been made very, very expensive. So when education is expensive, you don't want to have so many children, so they depopulate in a way. They don't do it like so much direct. But they also they spread also the virus. Because the virus now is here with us. Every day, you're in fear of it. In whatever you do, you fear the virus. To date, it still exists. They developed a virus which was very, very dangerous. Oh my God, the Kikuyu in me is outdoing itself. So, they developed what the world now calls, and I think your guess is as good as mine, HIV and AIDS was developed to depopulate the world, which now scavages and harvests millions of lives daily. Like, daily. It harvests millions of people daily. They are still the one giving the medicine. I think it might probably not have been a good, I don't know, but HIV and AIDS was the virus developed to depopulate the world. It scavages millions of people daily. That's an article from 1999? I was not even born, but I must have been somewhere. But now the virus ended up spreading, in the open thanks to an ignorant world population, which actually, just ignores, who the persons were and what their intentions are. But they really ended up letting them being part of us, and they spread the virus. And now that's the story of the depopulation virus that was put in place. Now it's still scavenging millions of lives every day. To date, the population is at what? In 1999, we were at 6 billion persons. 1999. It's what? 20 what? 20, 20, 21, 22 years later? We are still, I think, less than 10 billion, which is actually 20 years later. So meaning lives are going. Life has been made hard. There's no employment. So people are getting frustrated. You don't want to get kids. So amwezi zaana like at that high rate. Everything has been made expensive. You don't want to get to, you're going to want to, me kama saizi sitaka kupata mtoto sijui university, high school uko na lines watoto uko na like you can't have that because education is very very expensive. You can't have that. You see, health is also very expensive. So if you can't afford the health, you're eventually gonna end up dying because the health has been made very expensive. So the population keeps reducing, and they still have control of the world population. They still wanted to have control of it. Now so many things are making sense to me. I mean, this is just wild. It's 10 a.m. in Nairobi, Kenya. And of course, and now it's 2 a.m. in New York City, New York. It was a city they all loved and named it twice. New York City, New York. Have a good night. Continue enjoying your sleep, New York. Good night, New York. Good morning, Nairobi. My name is David Kamau. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. That's been Thursday for you. See you tomorrow. Peace out. Good day.